The space race was a competition between the United States and the Soviet Union for supremacy in technology and spaceflight capabilities. The bigger the accomplishment, the better the countries looked. This important part of history traces back all the way to Germany when they launched the V 2 rocket into London, which was a United States ally. Since the V 2 was the first ever ballistic missile, the United States was interested in the rocket engineer. However, they had to move fast because Russia was also interested. Eventually, the rocket engineer Werner von Braun and a group of scientists voluntarily surrendered to the United States. Werner would soon be an important part of the space race, being the leader of rocketry for NASA. The official start of the space race began in 1957 when the USSR launched the first successful artificial space satellite, Sputnik 1. That satellite showed the Soviets' power and standing in the world. It also inspired the US to create their own satellites. In 1958, Explorer 1 was created. It was the first American satellite to reach orbit. After these accomplishments, the USSR and the US were achieving more space first to prove who had the best technology. A few months after Explorer 1 was created, the United States created a government agency dedicated to space and technology advancement. This agency is called NASA, the National Aeronautics Space Administration. Their goal was to get the United States further into space knowledge, along with advancing the country's technology. Although it seems as if the United States was at the advantage of doing many things first, the Soviet Union had accomplished many things before the United States. For example, they were the first ones to send a man, Yuri Gagarin, into space for the first time. Valentina Tereshkova was the first woman in space. They also sent the first animal to space. Alexei Leonov performed the first spacewalk. In 1966, the USSR got the first object ever to soft land on the moon, Luna 9. Then in the same year, they were able to have a satellite orbit the moon. Eventually, the United States caught up with what the USSR had accomplished. Yet, the most important event to occur during the space race was the race to the moon. It was back in May 25th, 1961, John F. Kennedy proposed the idea to land on the moon. Therefore, the Apollo program was made. Their goal was to land a man on the moon. The Soviets had the Soyuz program, which also aimed to land a man on the moon. Things didn't go well for them due to failures in their spacecrafts. John F. Kennedy also proposed the idea of a US-USSR space program to help each other reach the moon. The Soviets denied this offer, but were later considering accepting it. The assassination of JFK changed their minds. Finally, on July 20, 1969, after 10 Apollo missions, Apollo 11 made it to the moon. Neil Armstrong was the first man to walk on the moon. After this, the United States had proven their advancement in space exploration to be equal to the Russians. However, outer space wasn't the only area where the US and USSR competed.